Thanks for joining me again for another Pixie Talks review vlog.
Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks. Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks.
Woo! And yes, it's time to put that weird in-betweeny era of the Doctor Who franchise behind us. There are several, roughly animated web specials of the Doctor that ran somewhere between the 8th and the 9th, but only one of them depicted its own unique Doctor that we haven't seen before. And that animated special is The Scream of the Shalka. Shalka is hard to categorize. It was released in 2003, a few years before the modern revival of the franchise. It followed after a few other animated web specials depicting various other iterations of the Doctor, although they were less animated so much as audio dramas set to a few static images. And, well, Scream of the Shalka features its own unique Doctor, which is interesting because he does not fit into the timeline at all, and I believe that his existence has officially been retconned. Scream of the Shalka is not canon, at least not to the main timeline. That's not quite good enough for me, although I can get behind the alternative theory that the Scream of Shalka Doctor is a Doctor that exists in a parallel or alternate universe to the main timeline we see in the show. So the story is about an alien species that has taken root beneath the city of Lynette. This alien has been terrorizing the people, turning them to magma if they step out of line, and in general causing fear and chaos with its screeching, piercing scream. And the Doctor has been transported there in order to help aid the situation, although who or what is controlling the TARDIS and effectively sending him on missions is unknown. He's also traveling with the Master as his companion, interestingly enough, although how that came about is not explained. Once again, this entire thing has to be retconned or written off as an alternate universe because this does not make any sense given what we see of the Master in the later series. Now, Richard E. Grant, who voices the Doctor, does a great job, and this Doctor does have a fairly distinctive personality from previous regenerations. He's a little impatient, which is a trait many of his personas share, but he's rather soft-spoken about it. He's more of a gentlemanly kind of man and straight to the point. There's a reluctance and almost hesitancy to get involved that is not present in other regenerations, but it seems to be not so much out of a lack of desire to help save people, and more out of a sense of burnt-outedness. He seems, more than any regeneration I've seen, tired. Which does make good sense given the bits and pieces of clues that we are given as to the events that led up to this, but that is not further explored. Now, as I said, the Master is presented as his companion in this, but the focus of the story centers a lot more around a girl named Allison. She is a resident of Lynette who becomes very embroiled in the alien goings-on. Allison and the Doctor team up to defeat the aliens, and she was an awful lot of fun. Unfortunately, we don't really get to know her very well over the course of the story, aside from her being something of a spirited troublemaker, but you kind of have to be to travel with the Doctor. It seems to be a prerequisite. I honestly would have loved to see this continue as an animated series. The travels of the Doctor, the Master, and Allison would have been lots of fun to explore, as well as the strange and mysterious presence that is apparently controlling him. Now, the animation is very limited, but it's definitely a few steps above the other animated web specials the Doctor Who franchise ran. It's the kind of limited animation style that harks back to things like He-Man and She-Ra, but it's certainly a pretty enough art style. It's polished and slick, and the Doctor's visual design is pretty neat. Actually, he's probably one of the most visually refined Doctors in the entire franchise. Altogether, I really quite enjoyed this story, and was kind of sad that they never continued exploring this Doctor. There is, I believe, a short story featuring the Shalka Doctor as well, but unfortunately that ends his rather dubious existence, which is really kind of a shame. I thought that this was an absolute gem of the franchise, and would have loved to have seen more. And that's it for my review of The Scream of Shalka. I hope you enjoyed the video. Next week, I will have finally gotten to the modern stuff. Number 9. See you then.